Welcome back to G Fun Facts Online, your go-to spot for mind-blowing truths from around the globe. Today, we're diving deep, and I mean archaeologically deep, into a region that's rewriting our understanding of ancient history, the Maghreb in North Africa. We're talking about an area stretching from Libya to Morocco, long seen as just a passive bystander in the grand theater of ancient civilizations. But what if I told you that was all wrong? What if this region was actually a vibrant hub of innovation, pioneering its own unique forms of agriculture and city life thousands of years ago? For decades, the prevailing story, often shaped by old colonial viewpoints, suggested the Maghreb was pretty quiet and isolated until Phoenician traders showed up around 800 BCE. But archaeology, as it so often does, is telling us a different, much more exciting story. Groundbreaking excavations are pushing the timeline of complex societies in the Maghreb back by centuries, even millennia. Take the site of Kouch in northwestern Morocco. Re-excavated recently with cutting-edge tech, it's given us solid proof of stable agricultural settlements during the Bronze Age. That's over 3,000 years ago. Radiocarbon dating shows people living there between 2,200 and 600 BCE. So, while famous civilizations like the Mycenaeans were flourishing in Greece, sophisticated communities were also taking root on the African coast. Even in its earliest phase, around 2200 BCE, Kouch shows pottery, cattle bones, and stone tools, hinting at contact with Iberian cultures. Later on, between 1300 and 900 BCE, they were digging silos into rock to store wheat, barley, and legumes, and raising all sorts of livestock. And get this, the oldest bronze object in North Africa outside of Egypt was found right there. This is huge. And Kouch isn't an isolated case. Over at Oued Beht, also in Morocco, archaeologists have found what's described as Africa's oldest and largest agricultural complex outside the Nile Valley, dating way back to around 3400–2900 BC. This place was comparable in size to early Bronze Age Troy. We're talking a highly developed farming society with domesticated crops, livestock, decorated pottery, and deep storage pits, showing they were planning for the long term. This proves the Maghreb wasn't just waiting to be discovered. It was a land of indigenous ingenuity and agricultural strength. The story of farming in North Africa, the Neolithic transition, began around 7,500 years ago. It was a fascinating mix. Local hunter-gatherers, Neolithic European farmers, especially from Iberia, and East Saharan herders all came together, sharing knowledge and genes. This fusion brought crops like wheat, barley, and lentils, plus sheep and goats. These early farming communities didn't just copy foreign techniques. They adapted and innovated within their unique North African environment, laying the groundwork for villages and, eventually, more complex societies. Now, let's journey south into the Sahara Desert, a place you might not associate with ancient cities. But meet the Garamantes. Flourishing from around 500 BC to 500 AD in modern-day Libya, these people were masters of Saharan agro-urbanism. Their secret? An incredible system of underground tunnels and wells called fogaras or kanats. These tapped into ancient fossil water, allowing them to grow grapes, figs, sorghum, barley, and wheat in oases, supporting a large population. Their capital, Jerma, had around 4,000 people, with another 6,000 in nearby settlements. They had planned cities, fortified walls, and public buildings. The Garamantes weren't just amazing farmers and engineers. They were key players in trans-Saharan trade, dealing in salt, gold, and ivory. They even had their own script. They show us that complex societies could thrive even in the harshest environments. The indigenous populations, the Berbers, or Amazi, were central to all these incredible developments. Their deep knowledge of the local land was fundamental. And speaking of indigenous culture, let's talk about the Libyco-Berber script. This is one of Africa's oldest written languages, with origins possibly stretching back to the 6th century BCE or even earlier. Thousands of inscriptions have been found across North Africa. While its exact origins are still debated, its widespread use points to an independent literate tradition, long before many other parts of the world. This script even evolved into Tifana, still used by the Tuareg today. Then there are the megalithic structures. dolmens and stone circles dating between 4000 and 2000 BCE, suggesting a deep history of monumental construction and possibly even astronomical observation, like at Nabta Playa in Egypt, which might be Earth's oldest astronomical observatory. Of course, the Maghreb didn't exist in a vacuum. The arrival of Phoenician traders around the 11th century BC and the founding of Carthage around 800 BC kicked off a new era. Punic cities became major commercial hubs, but this wasn't a simple takeover. It was a complex dance between Punic settlers and established Berber societies. Later, after the Punic Wars, North Africa became Rome's breadbasket, the granary of the empire. Rome invested heavily in agriculture, and cities like Tipasa and Timgad flourished with classic Roman architecture. But even under Rome, many areas remained distinctly Berber, showcasing incredible resilience and cultural continuity. So what does all this new information tell us? It forces a major rethink of Mediterranean and North African prehistory. The Maghreb wasn't some remote periphery. It was an active, dynamic participant, deeply connected to the Mediterranean, the Atlantic, and the Sahara. Discoveries like pottery resembling European beaker types found alongside African ivory show strong links across the Strait of Gibraltar, way back in the Copper Age. The ancient Alger Highway, a trans-Saharan trade route, didn't just move goods. It spread agricultural practices and crops. The region was a crucial player in shaping the ancient world's cultural, technological, and economic landscape. The legacy of this ancient Maghreb agro-urbanism is massive. The innovative farming, the ingenious water management like those fagaras, and the resilient cities laid the groundwork for civilizations that followed. Empires rose and fell, climates changed, but the ingenuity of North African societies endured. Ongoing research is constantly filling in the gaps, promising even more revisions to our historical narratives. By recognizing the Maghreb's rich and complex prehistory, we get a fuller, more accurate picture of our shared human story and the vital role North Africa played in it. It's a vibrant chapter, still being uncovered, proving that history is always evolving, always surprising us. That's all the time we have for today on Fun Facts Online. I hope this has opened your eyes to the incredible ancient world of the Maghreb. Join us next time for more fascinating facts. Thanks for tuning in.